since they're fired up to get down there and get
Nah, I just think they're right on track where they need to be, but they've been good every single day in practice, and they know for us to win and for us to play well, it's about our preparation, and they're not looking forward to anything except the next day of practice. So.
Do you have any responsibilities tomorrow?
Tomorrow they're off, and then Sunday we take off. So.
You got your pregame speech written yet?
I never write a pregame speech, so then that's pretty easy.
Yeah, you just go off the cuff.
No, I know what I'm going to talk about, but I don't have to write it down.
Oh, okay.
Kind of sum up what you've accomplished maybe this month. I mean, do you feel like you're able to?
Yeah, I think it's all about preparation and getting a feel for what they do, both offense, defense, special teams. I think our guys have a pretty good understanding of what our game plan is, and then we'll go back down again and start back up again with a Monday practice, a Tuesday practice, a Wednesday practice, and just keep hitting on the same things so that we feel pretty clear going into the game. But we also have to be able to adjust within the game because there's going to be new things that they're going to throw at us, and we've got to be prepared for it. So.
The opportunities that you showed on defense, being so good in the red zone, good forcing turnovers. How much of that is coaching? How much of that is just guys making plays in certain situations?
It's always guys making plays, but our players, we do a lot. Everything we do in practice is situational, so they're very, very aware of what we need to get done. We pride ourselves on takeaways. We spend a lot of time in practice on it. We pride ourselves on our red zone defenses, that you have to play the whole field, and even when you get the ball down in the red zone, if we can get you to trade threes for sevens, then we think we're in great shape. But our guys take a lot of pride in keeping you out of the end zone, and they take a lot of pride in the takeaway aspect, and we coach that every day in practice.
The competitive situations you put them in, even in fall camp, is there a process where over the course of the fall you notice guys get more and more comfortable, maybe less tight in situations like that?
Yeah, we do, and that's a good question, and that's why we script them that way. How many times do we hit overtime? How many times do we practice last play of the game, last play of the half? How many times do we practice red zone? How many times do we practice? And it's all calculated based upon how many times snaps we had in there last year, and then we just kind of charted as I do the preseason camp in July. How many times are we going to get to the red zone, and is it going to be 14.3% of the time or 15% of the time? We got it all mapped out, but we're going to get our guys enough reps in what the game is all about, because we never just come out here and put the ball down and just practice. It's got to be a situation so that they're aware of how the game's going.
And you feel good by the time the first game of the season rolls around, or is it still a progressive process?
You never feel good. I mean, it's because you got some guys that they've never played in a game before, and you really don't know how they're going to react, because as many times as you put them in that situation in practice, you never say, hey, that's what we're going to get. And then all of a sudden, you hope to get some scenarios early in games where you can be in situations, and then you can go back and look at it. I mean, you watch those 3 games that they had yesterday. There were so many scenarios, just watching some of those bowl games when you watch SportsCenter this morning, that you need to talk about how to manage the end of the game. How do you do that? But how many times do you practice that? And then, is there a sense of panic? You're running your field goal team on, all those things. You better make sure that you practice and feel real comfortable doing so.
What did you think of that K-State call? Did you catch that one?
I saw just the highlights, but I mean, 2 guys called it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand the rule, because in other games, what I think people keep looking at, well, in other games they didn't call it, but in that game they did. So, if you go celebrate with your teammates, then you got nothing to worry about. So,
yeah.
But it's unfortunate that that's how that game ended. But there's a distinct rule in the rule book about it. It's the same thing that happened to Jake, is that if the ball's thrown too high in the air, it's a penalty. So, but those are the rules we're by. So you can complain all you want, but that's the rule. So until they change the rule, you better learn how to play by it. It's the same thing with the speed limit. You may not agree with the speed limit, but you better follow the speed limit. You could say, I think we should be able to go faster on this road, but it's not your choice. So.
Yeah, especially through Coburg.